and welcome to another episode of Literary Gladiators, the show where we discuss and debate literature in all of its forms. If it's written work, it's games. Let's meet the panel.
Lily,
Kelsey,
Charlie,
and Josh. And today is a very special day because today is Kelsey's birthday.
happy birthday, Kelsey.
thank you so
Happy
much.
birthday.
Already, we will have a little something special for you that we can give to you at the end of the episode.
I'm excited for it.
Already done that. And today we are going over one of your favorite poets.
Cummings, he's absolutely amazing.
Okay, that is correct. The moderator had to step aside, so I'm just going to ask the questions from here. And the first question is, how do you feel Cummings' writing style can be best described, and how do you think he made an impact to his period of literature?
I will say unique. Right off the bat, it's very unique, new at the time. I think Ezra Pound was popular at this time.
Yes,
So his thing was make it new, make it new.
Cummings definitely did that.
He did. You know, I thought,
He was a true modernist.
yes, and very unique, very, very interesting, and it made me think he was having a little bit lunch of this when he was doing his, his manuscript. And I should not lean back. I learned that the hard way just a few minutes ago. But anyway, and what was the other part?
What kind the impact?
The impact. I think he was trying to make himself, set himself aside from the other poets and authors at that time. It's like, hey, look what I can do. And maybe draw attention to himself. I could be completely wrong, but I read some E.E. Cummings poetry in a couple of classes, and just for the fun of it when I was younger. And I'm like, this guy, I like this guy. He's unique. He's like me, different.
I think although you alluded to him possibly being drunk while he was writing.
Now, of course,
I think that you can get that vibe from him, but it's astounding that that's not the case. That everything that he does is so purposeful.
Yes.
The
I was joking
spacing
about that.
or lack thereof,
Yeah.
or the punctuation or lack thereof, the capitalization or lack thereof. It's all, although it seems sometimes at points nonsensical, it's totally like on purpose. Absolutely.
Question for you. What do you see the parentheses standing for?
It depends on the poem. With I Carry Your Heart, which is one of my all-time favorite poems.
It's a very heavy burden heart, but thank you.
The parentheses are symbolizing the use of that is the act of carrying something being inside something else, that kind of thing. So that's that's the symbolism that they get at there. It really just depends on the poem for me, I think. But do you have a different opinion on that?
I would have. That's something I've been that's been challenging me with Cummings' poetry. I see the idea of his format because it's supposed to measure a thought process.
Mm-hmm.
But the parentheses, and this, but just the idea of parentheses, it's usually meant to be taken as something detached from the poem.
Yes.
Was he a coming of age? Okay, that was a good one. Good.
I don't
Scratch
think
off this.
that it's. He does not use parentheses that I know for their traditional purpose, which is something that's aside from the poem. Because even with his poem "Leaf Falls and Loneliness," that's not aside from the poem; it's inclusive in the poem. So I think that he definitely uses them more in the way of like including something within instead of including something without. Does that make
You
sense?
use a sub-element, but I'm just going to offset it for emphasis, but it's not existing in a separate world that I've pushed into this poem. It's the same space from a different angle.
It's kind of like he creates a new layer by including so it's within, not without. But the impact that he had on his generation, you could say, it's hard to say because there are people after him that continue to be very traditional, but there are people that definitely, took some of his ideas and ran with it. So I think it's a mixed bag with his impact, but I definitely think he had made a large impact on me.
Oh, okay. I can see that being the case.
His formal structure, the non-linearity, how he's committed to tracing thought, the commitment to the trace of unconscious thought process, as well as some of the imagery is very surrealist in appeal, and then
Definitely.
there's the sense of modernism too that we've talked about. But as far as structurally, arrangement of lines on page, you get Cummings as a forerunner of the concrete poets like Charles Olson and Paul Blackburn. Where, have you ever read Apollinaire? Guillaume Apollinaire, he has a poem, Il pleut, it is raining, and what it is in the real French, each line is shaped like falling raindrops.
I've heard of that.
Oh, yeah.
No, I remember that one.
I've heard of the poet, but I haven't checked anything out.
Took me a
I'll have
minute.
to do so.
His piece Zone was a partial model for Howell.
Oh, okay. That's intriguing.
Yeah.
Ready, next question. What is your favorite Cummings poem and why? Let's start with Lily.
Oh, so many. I have so
He
many.
had more batteries.
I was gonna say, we don't want to be here all day.
What is your favorite? Maybe two favorites.
Okay, Somewhere I've Never Traveled, and next to, of course, God, America, I.
Oh, that's one of my
That's a good
favorites
one.
too. I did a collaboration with Kelsea.
Yeah, for the blog.
Next to, of course, God, America, I.
Mhm.
What makes those poems spectacular to you?
Well, I have a number of memories attached to Somewhere I've Never Traveled, and I just, I love the last line where it's like, not even the rain has such small hands, and it's just the
Such a
scope, the
wonderful
sentiment, and it also plays up in a ghazal by a poet I like a lot named Akshabar Ali, where there's a line where it's, we found the knife that killed you, but whose prints are these? No one has such small hands, Rashid, not even the rain. So it's like playing back. And it makes that one very, very dark poem that's about conflict in the Middle East have a tinge of sentiment. So so that appealed to me on one level, and on another level, I'm a big stupid sap, and I sent that whole poem copied out in text, and we all know my phone. It's the Model T, right? So you have to take one thing at a time, and I
That's
may
my
or may
fault.
not have copied that and sent it to someone pretty special once. And nature can see you through anything, you know. This is an idea.
Nature doesn't need a flashlight.
I know I'm going to be also talking about next to, of course, God, America, I. Did you want to talk about it when you got to me, or do we?
It's just the humor, just the tongue-in-cheekness
Yeah.
of it, and it's like all one breath, like it's so undeliberate, you know. Next to, of course, God, I love thee, land of the free, yeah, and etc. It's like he's just like, I'm just gonna bullshit my way through this and say what everybody wants to hear.
And the way it ends, it's just
He spoke and drank rapidly a glass of water. It's just like, none of this meant a thing.
I don't know if you could say that, though, that it didn't mean it. I think
Well,
in some
it's
way
all-
it did.
It's
It
all
did.
rhetoric, but in being rhetorical, he's commenting on the superficiality of politics, and yes, a lot of Cummings' work seems to be like there's the love and erotic poetry, and then there's the realist, like Kitty, a prostitute, 5'11", and there's the political poetry, but it tends to center on the theme. I kind of consider the erotic verses and the political verses somewhat intertwined, because they seem to be about the futility of there being a ruling government as long as there are forces like love and lust in human life that can connect people in a way that transcends law.
Okay. Kelsey?
Alright, so I initially wanted to choose I Carry Your Heart because I actually had that one tattooed on me, the last verse of it, or the last stanza. But I wanted to go with a different favorite, and this definitely prompted me to kind of like look into what I've read. And I chose My Girl's Tall because I like that it transcends what one expects from sex, and it also transcends and changes how women are described in poetry. The girl in this poem is described as having hard eyes and a long, hard body, and that's not how women are traditionally described. They're described as soft and everything like that, and she's taking power and twining her, like strong branches around him and everything in this poem, and it's so, I just love the comment that it's making there, and I think that it really just has stuck out to me, and I also wrote a paper on it, so.
Oh, okay. No, that would make for a really exciting
Yeah.
for you to take a paper.
So that was my favorite.
For me, it's mine is it's the rose, and I picked out it's it's a sad poem. And for those of you that don't know it, and now I don't like sad poetry, but this one, it had a lot of imagery with the rose and the petals of the rose, and I don't know, it just stuck out to me. But also, I can relate. I've had a lot of passings in the family, and new friends of mine have gone before me, and I've been trying to be there for them when I can, and so I thought this would be a good poem for me. But I'm more about happy and upbeat poetry. I thought it was,
There are some good poems that do
it
strike the emotion
it
of
struck a
sex.
chord. It literally struck a chord with me.
But
And,
it strikes the
Poetry's
emotion.
meant to do.
It is, yes. And if I could, just one last thing, the old man was mentioned here. I can relate this mostly to my grandmother because I've done a lot for her. When she passed on, I still, this was a year ago, almost a year, actually over a year ago. I'm still trying to get over that, but poured out a tear or two, and I think a head injury afterward. But
Alrighty. One of my favorite, I have two as well. The one next to, of course, America I is one of my favorites. I just really get something out of that satirical idea that it has to offer. But one of my favorites that I just was introduced to is when serpents bargain for the right to squirm, because I just love the idea that Cummings is poking at this egotistical idea that humans are so
proud.
dominant. They think they think they are so great, and that they are the ones that should be conducting how the world turns. But until nature has really, it's praising nature in general, just the trees, the sun, the moon, the animals, the plants,
Flowers, water,
those kind of elements. And
valley, a nice
as far
valley.
as they are, it's not until they fail us that we can start referring to the unanimal instincts of humanity. And unanimal is a really good way to put it, because that is what we are, really. We're just a much more civilized, colonialized, in some ways, responsive version of such.
Not every day you see a cat driving. Well, actually, not if you have a Twitter or MySpace. But anyway, like I said, not every day you see a cat driving. I don't have a MySpace, and I never
That's
did.
where the parentheses works. As it says, it gives all these examples of when serpents bargain for the right to squirm, sun strikes to gain a living wage, thorns regard their roses with alarm, rainbows insured against old age, and then it ends with, then you'll believe that in that incredible unanimal mankind, and in parentheses, and not until. So, as long as nature is engaging in their basic fundamentals,
Thank you.
447, then as long as they are engaging in their basic fundamentals, we can't really challenge them. There are species that go extinct, but then it brings room to something new and completely different. maybe some different kind of human-like species or some kind of hybrid species.
It's definitely a good poem choice.
Yeah, indeed. Anybody have any final thoughts?
Do we have time for another favorite?
One more thing.
About voice to voice, lip to lip.
Oh yeah. Or my body. I like my body when it's with your body.
Yes,
Yeah,
that's
good.
very sweet.
Yeah.
Alright.
Anything you would want to say about your poem?
Okay, I just love the ending, but it has to be in context. It's relatively short, and we have time anyway because these run a while. Voice to voice is lip to lip, I swear to no one, everyone constitutes undying, or whatever this and that pedal confutes, to exist being a peculiar form of sleep. What's beyond logic happens beneath will, nor can these moments be translated. I say that even after April, by God, there's no excuse for May. Bring forth your flowers and machinery, sculpture and prose. Flowers guess and miss. Machinery is the more accurate. Yes, it delivers the goods, heaven knows. Yet we're mindful, though not as yet awake, of ourselves which shout and cling, being for a little while, and which easily break in spite of the best overseeing. I mean with the blonde absence of any program except last and always and first to live, makes unimportant what I and you believe. Not for philosophy does this rose give a damn. Bring on your fireworks, which are a mixed splendor of piston and of pistol, very well provided, an instant may be fixed so it will not rub like any other pastel. While you and I have lips and voices which are for kissing and to sing with, who cares if some one-eyed son of a bitch invents an instrument to measure spring with? Each dream this sitter is not made. Why then to hell with that, the other this, since the thing perhaps is to eat flowers and be unafraid.
It's a pretty
That's
picture.
a good note to end on. His poetry on its own is so powerful.
Mm-hmm.
That is something. Because it's your birthday, you had another example that you had.
Oh well, I said I like my body when it is with your body, and it's such a new thing or something along the lines of that. It's
Yeah.
just it's a really it's just a really amazing poem. All his poetry. I just recommend all of his poetry, all of it. Go
Okay.
out. I was gonna bring my collected works, but it's huge. So
We'll leave a link to it in the description
Yeah.
box. And because it's your birthday, we decided to get you a present.
thank you
Happy
so
birthday.
much.
You're welcome. It's not food, I'm sorry.
Oh, that's fabulous. I love it. Yeah. Oh, thank you so much.
Kelsey is an
birthday.
enthusiast for quotes. She likes to share a lot of them. So
Yeah.
I thought that would be.
Love this. Thank you so much.
It's my pleasure.
I can hang it up in my dorm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're welcome to do that. Yours. Already done.
Thank you.
Be sure to join us next time for another episode of Literary Gladiators. For now, keep reading.
Thank you.